Welcome to the Calder Farmstead.
Now the Ice Hawks back out to center in transition. Carlson with Quenneville 2-on-1. Right when Carlson comes, Quenneville scores!
Here's a chance for Carrick. Fighting scores! Off the face-off! Up it's Eminger. Pulled back to Werenski. Has it. Shoots one. Bounces off a man. 5 seconds left. Werenski. Another jam on the shot. Turning and firing. They go! Scores! They score! Now they catch each other. They both go right over the top. Matching rights to one another. McDermott gets the helmet off of Cassie.
And now, with 9 minutes gone in overtime, the Bears breaking out right side with Bear. Looks like cutting to the net. Bear will score!
And here are your hosts, Cece and Sean.
Hello and greetings from the Mile High city of Denver, Colorado.
And Plano, Texas.
Welcome to the Calder Farmstead Podcast, episode number 68 for Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. If you were hoping for a podcast featuring a guide for land considerations for new farmers, we are not going to be much help. This is an American Hockey League podcast, and my name is Cece Hockley. I'm the AHL editor of Full Press Hockey.
And I'm Sean O'Brien from Stats Track and the AHL's only league-wide analytics guy.
Sean, kind of a big deal, O'Brien, that is.
Not a big deal.
Thank you for tuning in with us. We always appreciate you folks tuning in and listening in.
And if you're new to hearing Cece and I talk about hockey, we're going to recap some of the matchups from the past weekend in the AHL for you. We both watch a lot of AHL games and are going to talk about what we see when we watch the film, as well as use some advanced stats to help us break that down. If that's new to you, you may want to head over to our podcast feed or YouTube channel, wherever you're listening to us from, and check out episode 0. It's all the way at the bottom, but it is down there. It's a short primer on some of the stats we're going to be talking about, as well as how we view what's important on the ice. So if you're newer to some of the more advanced hockey stats terms like PDO or the point shares model, or newer hockey terms like controlled zone entries, go check that out. So you better be able to pick up what we're putting down. I promise it's not that nerdy or technical. It's only 20 minutes. And let's be honest, you wasted 20 minutes reading about Kim Kardashian passing the California bar exam. If she is your lawyer, you deserve to go to jail. You'll never get that time back. So next time, why not spend a little more time with us talking hockey?
Everybody's got to have a hobby, and I guess Kim's hobby now is passing bar exams. So there you have it. We'll see. We'll see if anything comes of it, because I don't know if I'd take her as my lawyer. But anyway, I digress. Let's get started. I was not here last episode. I was on vacation. I got to see Daytona Beach, Florida. Got to touch the Atlantic Ocean for the first time in my life. That's old hat to you, Sean. So, but yes, yeah, it's like you coming out to the Pacific Ocean. But anyway, let's talk about the picks that you and your co-host for last episode, Paige Seward, filling in so diligently. Of course, Full Press Hockey's Stockton Heat correspondent. Let's talk about the picks. Paige picked in my stead, like I mentioned, and Sean, you lost. You lost to the guest, and there ain't no bones about it. Paige going 18 of 31. That's good for a 58.1% success rate. Sean, ever so close. There's never a blowout when it comes to our pick'ems, it seems. 16 of 31, just 2 picks behind Paige with a 51.6% success rate. The model bouncing back from a pretty abysmal 7 of 20 last time we did pick'ems. The model 20 of 31 for a 64.5% success rate. And it even had a 50-50 push on Friday's Belleville and Providence game, which I think is the first time this season that it's taken a game 50-50 down the middle.
Yeah, it probably won't be the last time. I mean, as you can see, most of these games are like hockey games actually are. They're very close. Each individual game, not necessarily so close, but like teams in this league as teams in the NHL. Even if you look at NHL models from Dom Luszczyszyn from The Athletic, Michael Blake McCurdy over at Hockey Viz, the Evolving Wild Twins, they're picking games and like, if there's a 60% favorite, that's a big, that doesn't happen often. Right. There are only a couple of instances in which you get to be bigger than a 60% favorite. And that's kind of what we see when we look at a lot of these. You don't see a lot of dead even 50-50 splits, but sometimes usually you're within, a half percentage point or two.
Right. Yeah. Like I muted myself when I thought I was already unmuted. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yes, I mean, I think there was a 64% game where it was like Utica against Lehigh Valley earlier on this season, which makes sense because, yeah, Lehigh Valley in the doldrums, Utica, up at the top of the North Division and the AHL, but Lehigh Valley starting to turn things around. A little foreshadowing. Yes, sir.
I do want to point out that Utica lost to Rochester earlier, and the model had Rochester as a favorite in that game by like a teeny tiny margin. But I just want to say, model called it.
Model called it. Yeah, Rise of the Machines. We're gonna have to be shining up the model probably and giving it a trophy that it can't really accept, but maybe not. Probably not. Anyway.
Speaking of upsets the model didn't pick, let's talk about Lehigh Valley here.
Yes, the Phantoms. I was trying to foreshadow a little bit, and because first segment, we're going to the Atlantic Division. We're talking Lehigh Valley Phantoms Saturday against Cleveland. They win 4-2. Sunday versus Hartford, one of the surging teams there in the Atlantic. Actually, they're first place in the Atlantic Division now. Lehigh Valley beat Hartford 4-3 in the shootout. So, Sean, Lehigh Valley sweeping the weekend like we all called, like we all predicted.
I mean, Cleveland was a much more understandable loss, and we'll get to that in a second.
Sure.
Sorry, it was a much more understandable win.
Right.
Hartford, I feel like there are some other things to look aside, but still plenty of positives to take away from Lehigh Valley this weekend. But let's quick do the box score recap. We got a lot of goals to talk about here.
Take it away.
So let's start with Saturday's game versus Cleveland. On the power play, the Phantoms get an odd man rush as Brennan Gaunce is caught too deep in the Phantom zone. Cam York walks down the wall, gains his own, hits Wade Allison in the slot. Allison backhands a shot from a high danger area. Tarasov makes a save, but he loses the rebound in the snow shower from Allison. Jerry Mayhew bangs home the loose rebound, and the Teddy Bears go flying for one of Mayhew's many career Teddy Bear goals. 1-0 Phantoms, 10:59 left in the first period. On the power play, the Monsters recover a loose puck after a faceoff. Cole Clayton walks the blue line and dishes back to the half wall to Kevin Stenlund. Cal O'Reilly gives chase, and Stenlund draws him in before giving it back to Clayton at the point. Nick Lappin is very late in getting to the shooting lane, and Cole Clayton risks one past Lappin through a layered screen to beat Sandstrom. Tie game at 1 with 5:31 left in the first. Wyatt Wiley commits a defensive zone turnover, and the Monsters get to work on the cycle. Liam Foudy recovers and takes a half lap around the offensive zone before dishing to Tomas Šemić around the goal line. Šemić catches Pat Nagel too far outside his post, goes behind the net, hits Sakura in front. Nagel can't recover in time, and Sakura bangs it home amid the chaos at the net front. 2-1 Monsters with 10:14 left in the second period. On the power play, Matthew Strome recovers a rebound in the corner. He goes across Royal Road to O'Reilly, who taps it to Igor Zamula. Zamula sees that Justin Scott isn't making an effort to get into a shooting lane, so he simply obliges and puts a wrister through a layered screen by Strome and Ratcliffe. Tarasov never sees it, tied at 2 with 7:27 left in the second. The Monsters get all three forwards and Tomas Šemić caught deep on a forecheck as the Phantoms get a breakout going the other way. Strome goes 2-on-1 with Radcliffe, but Adam Clendenning skates his butt off to be the trailer. Strome finds Clendenning in stride, and Clendenning buries it under the blocker of Tarasov. 3-2 Phantoms, 17:29 left in the third. Over a minute later, Cowboy Cole Clayton enters the offensive zone in a regroup, but whiffs on a shot. Maxim Shushko takes off through the neutral zone on a 3-on-1 with Rubtsov and Gerard, but chooses to rip it and beats Tarasov under the blocker. 4-2 Phantoms with 16:15 left in the third. That was Saturday's game. Now we head to Sunday. The Phantoms win a faceoff to start a power play, and Clendenning walks the blue line as the Phantoms get set up. He dishes to Mayhew on the half wall, and Mayhew just walks in and fires a picture-perfect wrist shot that Huska saw as it was going by him. 1-0 Phantoms with 1:12 left in the first. The Wolfpack get a cycle going and work the puck around the outside. Brandon Schneider finds Morgan Barron in the slot for a shot pass from the point that Barron redirects into the pads of Nagel. The rebound is loose in front, and chaos ensues at the goal front. Morgan Barron digs it out from the pile and backhands it into a mostly empty net before Pat Nagel can react. Tied at 1 with 17:37 left in the second. Schneider turns the puck over in his own zone during a breakout. Jerry Mayhew recovers it and sets up Jackson Cates in the slot. Cates slides it down to Garrett Wilson near the bottom of the circle, but Wilson is ready and one times a missile past Huska. 2-1 Phantoms with 11:30 left in the second. Justin Richards can't control a pass in the neutral zone, and several players converge on a loose puck near the center ice faceoff dot. Hayden Hodgson stretches out to swipe it ahead and springs Isaac Radcliffe for a breakaway. Radcliffe snaps one high blocker side, and Huska can't make the save. 3-1 Phantoms with 6:44 left in the second. Hartford gets a rare zone entry and gets to work on the cycle. Mike O'Leary works the puck up the wall and hits a nice pass through a tight defensive zone coverage to Zach Jones. Jones puts a weak pass across Royal Road to Taro Reunen. Logan Day abandons Austin Rushoff in the slot, trying to get into the shooting lane. Reunen doesn't shoot, instead just delivers a hard pass to Rushoff, who easily tips it past Pat Nagel. 3-2 with 1:11 left in the second period. Hayden Hodgson clearly gets the elbow up on a hit and gives Hartford a key power play as the third period winds down. On the ensuing power play, Zach Jones walks right through the middle on a zone entry, dekes past Cam York, and fires a shot at Nagel, who makes a save, but the rebound comes right back to Jones, who buries it. Tie game at 3 with 2:48 left in regulation. OT doesn't produce a winner, so we go to the skills competition. Wade Allison gets Huska off his angle as he cuts across the slot and beats Huska low blocker side. Adam Glendenning finds the same space, cutting the opposite way across the slot. No one from Hartford scores, and the Phantoms take it 4-3 in the shootout.
I was going to say after your first game recap there that, game-winning goal for Adam Clendenning, definitely the Clendenning revenge tour for Cleveland and his previous team. But anyway, I digress. Let's get to the picks recap. Let's see who Paige chose to be victorious in these two games. Lehigh Valley falling to Cleveland on Saturday, but winning on Sunday, which I thought was kind of a bold pick from Paige there. But guess what? Ended up coming out in the end. Sean, you picked the Phantoms over Cleveland, which ended up being accurate. And you also picked Hartford over Lehigh Valley, which was a little more reasonable. But the model said Cleveland is a 55.4% favorite on Saturday, and Hartford was a 57.9% favorite on Sunday, and the model was wrong in both instances. The Phantoms, surprising again. I mean, I come back after a weekend off and on vacation, and the Lehigh Valley Phantoms have busted an 8-game losing streak with a 2-game weekend sweep. So, Sean, let's talk big picture takeaways. Let's take a quick look at each game. What was the story of the Phantoms Saturday in their win over the Monsters?
This was the first game in a long time that made me think I needed to start making an adjustment in the model. And that adjustment is about rest. This was maybe the easiest game to see coming as a win for the Phantoms. Quite simply, this was a team that played its second game in basically 2 weeks, playing a team that was playing their fourth game in 6 days in 4 different cities. Which side do you think was going to be the more energetic and fuller skating, fresher minded team? Sure. And that was the difference here by a wide margin. The Phantoms outworked, outskated, and out-executed a team that was on empty for the majority of Saturday's game. And even then, the Phantoms still almost lost this game. They outshot the Monsters 21-19 from home plate, which is good. Outchancing your opponents is usually a positive thing. In this case, it still is. But a slight change in the voodoo in this game could have flipped. Sandstrom stones Haluka in the first period on a rebound at the side of the net. Pat Nagel stops Carson Meyer on a breakaway. Then again on a subsequent penalty shot. Either one of those flips, and we're talking about a different game here. Sandstrom also left the game due to illness. Apparently, he had some sinus issues that were giving him vision problems. And vision problems for a goaltender are bad. And they must have been bad enough because they called up Kirill Ustamenko, who had to sit on the sides, had to get dressed in a separate locker room and everything, because during the game against Reading, it was found out that someone on the other team tested positive for COVID, and somehow the game still got played because the ECHL, the bastion of player safety. But he basically had potentially a COVID exposure and was only going to go into this game if Pat Nagel was physically unable to continue. So he was more an e-bug than anything. But still, the idea that that was allowed to happen is a little insane to me, but here we are. But yeah, that is something I think I'm going to try and see if I can't work into the model in the future is when you have that big a disparity amongst the rest and the freshness of two teams, that matters. And that very much was the story of this Phantoms Monsters game is the Monsters looked dead tired, tired legs, tired minds. They made sloppy mistakes and they got out hustled and out executed by a team that was raring to go from puck drop.
And of course, we've advocated for Pat Nagel to be on an AHL team, after playing for Reading for, I want to say 16 games or so thus far into the ECHL season, finally getting the call up for Lehigh Valley, going 2-0-1 thus far this season for the Phantoms. And helping the Phantoms at least eke out that win on Saturday. Let's head over to Sunday. Unlike Cleveland, Hartford should be they should have been very well rested for this game, to the point where, you start to be concerned about rink rest. So, Shawnee, were the Wolfpack rusty?
In spots a little bit, nothing that I would say was egregious, but a couple of moments you saw their timing was off. A couple of moments you could see the wheels turning and then having to kind of think through things at game speed a little bit. A couple of moments where execution wasn't crisp. Overall, they looked fresh, but there were a couple of moments where I thought the time away from game speed looked like it caught up with them a little bit, but that wasn't the story of this game to me.
Okay, so if that wasn't the story, then what was?
For me, the game story was the difference between balance and forward lines. Hartford stacked their top line with Gettinger, Barron, Brodzinski, otherwise known as Johnny Be Good, and Fritz and Paginemi carrying DiGiacinto around. No Ty Roning for the Hartford Wolfpack, no Anthony Greco in this game. And their choice to, instead of trying to spread that talent out a little bit, stack it basically in 5 of their top 6 forward roles. Basically, that meant if the Phantoms could battle to a draw against their top 6, then they should be able to win shifts as their bottom 6 against the Wolfpack's bottom 6 was a fair advantage. Now, that's not to say that, Isaac Radcliffe is a world beater in the AHL. Not, but he's a capable third line forward. Same thing for Maxim Shushko, Yerman Rupsov. They're capable, bottom 6 forwards in the AHL. But one of the bigger things was that Hartford is basically running 2 ECHL lines on the bottom, more or less. And that was a big difference. As long as they could play to a draw in their top 6 versus Hartford's top 6, Lehigh Valley should be able to win this game. And they outshot that goal. Their second line was downright better than the Wolfpack second line. Their bottom 6 from the Phantoms also, by and large, set up good shifts for the top 6, as well as won some shifts of their own. The first Phantoms goal was on a good shift by the third line with Ratcliffe forechecking that saw Mayhew jump on a line change, draw a penalty, and then immediately score a goal on the power play. That's your third line set their top 6 success. Ratcliffe also scored a goal on breakaway against the back fourth line. That's another example of your bottom 6 beating their bottom 6. But you saw the Phantoms winning shifts when it was their bottom 2 lines against the bottom 2 of the Phantoms. And that helped, or the bottom 2 of the Wolfpack, and that helped tilt the ice for the Phantoms 5-on-5. As an aside here, I would say this is the most energetic I've seen the Phantoms all season. They skated with purpose. They had their legs moving. They were hungry for this game. Yes, they had a lot of time off, but even seeing them in the first game of the weekend several times, so they should have several days rest. Seeing them in the first game of the season, seeing them, in spots where they should be well rested, playing a Friday night at home after their last game was last Saturday. That should be a game in which they're fresh, rested, ready to go. And they haven't been by and large through the season. This was by far the most energetic, the most hungry I have seen the Phantoms play all this season. They were moving their feet at all times. They were skating with purpose. I liked it a lot.
Let's talk about some of the individual efforts of the Phantoms. Hey, Sean, did you know that it was Wade Allison's first weekend back from injury? Did you gather that from the broadcast?
I had no idea. You'd thought they'd have mentioned that on the Phantoms broadcast at least one time. I mean, first games back, I didn't know at all.
Did you also know Cal O'Reilly is Ryan O'Reilly's brother?
Shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Hey, all facetiousness aside, Wade Allison, big impact player for Lehigh Valley. What'd you see from him on the ice?
Wade Allison knows how to only play one way when he plays hockey. He's like if Heath Ledger's Joker was cast as Ricky Bobby in a reboot of Talladega Nights. He's an agent of chaos that likes to go real fast.
Do I look like a guy with a plan? I just skate real fast. I'm like a dog chasing cars. I don't know what to do.
In hockey terms, he's a straight line skater who shows little regard for setting up plays or using deception. He's going to bolster any transition offense in the sense that he'll get the puck at the top of the circles in the defensive zone, fly through the neutral zone, hit the offensive blue line with speed, and shoot. That is Wade Allison's game in 2 sentences. He's got good skating, good puck skills, and while his shot mechanics are not mechanically pretty, he makes them work with just brute strength. He's decent defensively as he scans for threats and often has decent awareness in his defensive zone. For a winger, like I would actually put him above average for most more offensive-minded wingers. He's pretty decent. He's never going to make a behind-the-back pass or deke through someone, as his game is more sheer force of will than it is sleek. I'd be shocked if he ever stick-lifted someone when he could have hit them instead, but Wade Allison is someone whose motor runs at 100% every time his steel touches the ice and very much has a wild man mentality to him. He also likes to shoot, like a lot. It wouldn't shock me to see him put up 4 shots on goal per game for his time in the AHL. He is going to shoot the puck early, often, and regularly.
So looking ahead, let's finish out with again the surprise of Lehigh Valley and winning 2 games straight this weekend. I mean, I don't want to say they almost doubled their win total, but they went from 3 to 5 wins. They're still at the bottom of the Atlantic Division, but it's like you've got Belleville coming down the pike, you've got Hartford who's leading the division now, and you've got next weekend. I mean, not to preview too much, but you've also got Rochester, so who's nothing to shake a stick at. So Sean, Phantoms, can they keep it going?
I wouldn't be surprised if they at least were able to build some momentum here. They got very favorable circumstances for both of these games, with Cleveland being exhausted, Hartford with time off, and missing 2 of their, pretty big top-heavy top 6 team. So that definitely played a factor in both, but that's not the way that they should see it, and that's not what, Ian LaPerriere should do to sell it to this team. They did a lot of things right in these games that they weren't necessarily doing in previous games. They weren't skating well. They weren't executing well. They didn't have much of a rush offense going. And missing, Max Willman, Morgan Frost, another big hit to them. It was good to see them look not just alive, but full of life. And if you're going to have a momentum turn and start to see Lehigh Valley at least start to make some moves in this division and be an opponent teams have to take seriously, it's going to begin and end with their ability to skate with other teams, put pressure on them, and fly through the neutral zone. And they did all 3 this weekend.
All right. Well, we are going to take a break here. After the break, we're going to get to the Laval Rocket. We're going to say bonjour to some Québécois with Laval, since the majority of their team is made up of Québécois. If you're just here for Lehigh Valley, though, thank you for stopping by. We do appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to us from, so you can get episodes in a very timely fashion. Also, check us out on social media. Links to our social media, as well as links to our YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Google podcasts, as well as a few other podcast catchers as well, can be found at our Linktree page at linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. That is link.tango.romeo.echo/the Calder Farmstead for those familiar with the NATO alphanumeric code. All right. Well, we're going to pay some bills. We got to keep the lights on here, deep in the heart of Texas, and up here a little further north in Denver as well. So stay tuned. We've got the Rocket de Laval coming up next. All right. Bienvenue à Laval. Actually, not really, because we're talking about the Laval Rocket on the road. In the North Division, we're covering them and the weekend that was for the Rocket. Friday at 7 p.m. at Rochester. Laval taking the L 5-3. Sunday, 5 p.m. at Hershey, though. That's a dub, 4-2. Laval splitting the weekend. Sean, let's briefly go over the in-game action on both days. Let's start with Friday against the Amherst.
All right, let's go over some goals here. Friday night, Danik Martel winds up a slapper and fires as the Rocket power play expires. Robson makes the save, kicking the rebound to the corner. Martel recovers the rebound and fires a pass across Royal Road to Peter Abadanato in the slot, who doesn't even look to shoot. He dishes it back across Royal Road to Lucas Vedemo, who fires a shot that is blocked, but he bangs home the rebound. 1-0 Rocket, 10:19 left in the first. Rochester wins a race to a rebound and gets back to work in the Laval zone. Casey Fitzgerald works the puck at the point, D to D to Samuelson. Samuelson fires towards a traffic jam in front of the net. Primo gets a pad on it, but the rebound goes right to a wide open Brandon Biro, who puts it home. Tied at 1, 7:58 left in the first. Rochester wins a race to a dump-in as Paterka outraces Belpedio. Krebs plays the puck to the point for Tevez, who goes across Royal Road to a waiting Sean Malone. Malone looks for a pass to Paterka in the slot, but ends up banking it off the skate of J.S. Day and in. 2-1 Rochester with 3:45 left in the first. Laval gains the zone as Belzile carries down off the wall off a neutral zone pass from Raphael Harvey Pinard. Belzile pulls up from the wall at the faceoff dot, finds a passing lane to Lucas Vejimo across Royal Road that was so big you could drive the Arizona Coyotes tanking season through it. Vejimo taps it past the sprawling Matt Robson, tied at 2 with 18:50 left in the second. Rochester gets a turnover in transition and gets a counterattack going quickly. Malone works it through the neutral zone to Ruotsalainen. Ruotsalainen finds a narrow passing lane across the offensive blue line to Michael Mersch. As Carl Neal is nowhere near the play, Mersch walks down the wall and fires a wrister that beats Primo over the blocker. 3-2 Rochester with 9:16 left in the second. Josh Tevez goes coast to coast as he takes a pass in his defensive zone and walks past Kevin Waugh, Brandon Gignac, and Louis Belpedio. He draws Terrence Amorosa to him as he walks into the slot and dishes to Mitch Elliott, who bangs it home. 4-2 Amerks with 14:46 left in the third. Laval wins a faceoff back to Matthias Norlinder, and he spins off Michael Mersch and cuts back across the slot before dropping it to Toby Paquette-Bisson. He has a wide open shooting lane with a solid screen in front and wrists one past Robertson, who never, ever sees it. 4-3 with 6:59 left in the third. But Ryan McInnes hits the empty net, and that wraps it up. 5-3 Rochester is your final on Friday.
Très bien on your pronunciations, my friend.
Merci. On Sunday, on the power play, Matt Molson gains the zone entry and the Bears set up. Molson gets the puck below the goal line. He tries to hit Vecchione in front of the in the slot, but it goes past him to Cody Franzen at the point. He plays catch with Snively and winds up and fires the return pass through traffic. That beats Caden Primo low glove side. 1-0 Bears with 9:47 left in the first period. Laval strikes back as Belpedio cycles the puck from the point to below the goal line to Harvey Pinard. McElrath pins Harvey Pinard to the boards, but Belzile swings by, picks up the puck, and works to the point for Terrence Amorosa. Amorosa blasts one past Fucali as he was screened by McElrath and Harvey Pinard in front, tied at 1 with 3 minutes left in the first period. Vejimo intercepts a pass from Vecchione in the Laval zone and takes off through the neutral zone with a 2-on-1 with Gabriel Bork against Cody Franzen. Vejimo walks Bork back to the top of the crease before backhanding a pass across Royal Road to Bork at the back door. He taps it in. 2-1 Laval with 18:33 left in the second period. Axel Janssen Floaby recovers a dump in despite Caden Primo's best efforts. He passes up to the point for Cody Franzen, who barely keeps it in the zone, but goes across the blue line to Alexiev. Alexiev catches the pass down the wall and uses his large frame to power through J.C. Baudin as Terrence Amorosa goes unplugged controller at the faceoff dot. Alexiev finds space short side under the bar to beat Primo. Tie game at 2 with 14:36 left in the second. Raphael Harvey Pinard gets perhaps the softest call I've ever seen for a penalty shot in over 2 decades plus watching hockey.
It was a
Harvey Pinard goes wide left, cuts through the slot, and gives Fucali the fake shot to the backhand move and beats him. 3-2 Rocket with 12:49 left in the third. Cody Franzen tries to pinch in the offensive zone, but doesn't get there in time, and this brings Brandon Gignac with a one-on-one with Drake Rishma close behind. Rishma never scans for another Rocket, and Gignac pulls both Kempney and Rishma to him as he finds Raphael Harvey Pinard all alone at the top of the circle. Pernard has to spin to catch the pass, but turns and fires and beats Fucale low blocker side. 4-2 Rocket with 1:34 left in the third, and that would seal it. The Rocket pick up the dub in Hershey.
Well, guess what? I don't really need to go too much into picks because every single one of you were right. Rochester on Friday, Laval on Sunday. The model even said Rochester 53.1% favorite, and Laval was a 52.2% favorite over Hershey. So, yeah, congrats all around, machines and humans, all in one accord. Oh, no. You did not just dab just now, did you?
We can edit that out, right?
Might have to go on the blooper reel. I mean, I've never seen you dab before. That was
it's a rare moment.
Anyway,
all right.
Anyway, I won't dwell on that too much. Big picture takeaways. While Laval has not been what they were last season, we had some hope from the Rocket this weekend as you and Paige both picked the split and correctly again. And correctly, not incorrectly. Sorry. I wanted to emphasize that. Both picked it correctly. The model picked it correctly. All across the board. Did you see signs of hope from Laval this weekend?
I saw some good elements of them. They've definitely been lacking in using their team speed for good. They're a team of fast skaters that work hard, but for this season, we haven't seen them utilize that as much. I saw a lot more of that this weekend, and I thought that was something that at least gave me hope that they're starting to put it together. They're using the things they're good at in a more productive fashion. I saw good work in transition on breakouts by forwards, getting through the neutral zone, taking passes, just on the half wall in their defensive zone and getting up ice with them, getting chips from glass and out from their defensemen, recovering them in the neutral zone and going. There was a lot of good work by their forwards to turn, what are some pretty standard plays into good offensive transition going the other way, getting a lot of more zone entries or playing chip and chase down the wall with speed to recover quickly, to basically turn a lot of chip and chases on the wall into almost a self pass around the defenseman. I saw a lot of that from them, and I thought that was good. Caden Primush certainly gave his team a chance to win both of these games. I will say, though, in spite of all of the small positive things I saw, the loss to Rochester is bad, and it's that's a loss against a team that's down its best player and probably one of the top 3 forwards in the AHL right now in Jack Quinn, plus a fringe AHL goalie manning the net, plus the Amherst playing 10 forwards and 7D. Those you need to pull that game out, and it's at least a little shameful that they couldn't. That's a moment where the deck is stacked in your favor, or at least as close to in your favor as you're going to get against a talented team like Rochester. You needed to find a way in that game if you're Laval. It wasn't Caden Primu's fault. Yes, he let up one bad one from Michael Mersch from the outside, which, if that's the bad one he lets up, the rest of them he really did not have much of a chance at there. Your team has to play better in that spot if you're Laval. And if I'm JF Houle, I'm probably pretty unhappy with that result on Friday. I also think a lot of the problems too that have kind of plagued Laval this season stem from last season's team having better puck moving defensemen than this season's Rocket team. You turn Otto Leskinen, Cale Fleury, and Josh Brook, and Josh Brook's still on the team, but he's been hurt the entire season. You turn that into Tori Dello, Carl Neal, and Louis Belpedio. And shockingly, it's not working out for them. I mean, who could have seen that coming? Dello and Neal probably should be in Trois-Rivières, but a big part of that team last year was their ability to get transition going up ice immediately and get turnovers in the neutral zone. A lot of that was fueled by defensemen who could move the puck well and who could defend their blue line. That was Leskinen and Fleury and somewhat Josh Brook being able to do both of those. It's definitely not any of Dell or Neal, and it's barely Belpedio at this point. He very much does not look like the defenseman he did a few seasons ago. And I don't want to say a 25-year-old is cooked because that seems aggressive, but man, does he really not look like he's at 100% right now. And I don't know if that's, 2 bum ankle injuries or, he's just wearing down early because he's a high event kind of player in terms of being physical and being in the play. But man, he has not looked good this year. And to be completely fair, Torrey Dello and Carl Nero are out of their depth. They should not be in this league by and large, and asking them to try and do puck moving things is a big ask for them. But some of the gap control and defending their blue line I saw this weekend from them was just atrocious. Yes, Norlinder and Paquette-Poisson can move the puck, and Fairbrother can defend the blue line, but that's not enough to dominate possession like the Rocket did last season when they could roll 4 or 5 defensemen who could be counted to do all of that reasonably well. Last season's team was also a lot better at defending the high danger areas, whereas this one, it's basically Fairbrother, who's a good net front defender, and that's pretty much it.
If you want to use the phrase all gas and no brakes, where gas is, of course, speed, and brakes is pretty well everything else. Is that a pretty accurate descriptor of I was about to say Lehigh Valley, Laval?
It is a little bit like, I still think their forward group is good. Their forward group fits very well for what they're trying to do, but they're definitely getting dragged down by just sloppy defense in their own zone and defenders who are not capable of beating forecheckers with their feet or with a pass on a regular basis. Defensemen who are not able to just step up on their blue line and break up a play, or step up in the neutral zone and break up a play. They really miss Otto Leskinen and Cale Fleury right now. When Josh Brook gets healthy, that's at least another piece that will be helpful to them, but I don't know that he's going to be enough to turn it around where they can be more than just a team that squeaks into the first round of the playoffs this year, or the money round, as I feel like we should call it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, let's move to defense and forwards. Let's dive in a little bit in the goaltending as we dip into the detailed analysis here. Sean, you've said in previous episodes that Caden Premu has underwhelmed you compared to the hype that has surrounded him. That has been a running theme here on the Calder Farmstead for both last season and this season. People kind of say, well, he doesn't do a whole lot wrong, but he doesn't do enough right. Does this weekend do anything to shift that perception of him, or at least in your mind?
It certainly moved the needle a little bit, as he was pretty good against the Amherst and amazing against the Bears, and has been one of the reasons that Laval has started to show signs of life, is that despite them not getting good defense in front of him, he's been able to step up and make it work. He started, I believe, 6 straight games, which I think some of it is a new push in Montreal's front office as they cleaned house recently, and probably should have done that a while ago, but but that to get him more starts to develop in more. Now, as we've talked about with other goaltenders, just riding them into the ground is a stupid decision, but they're not there yet. But a handful of games do not an impression change, though, especially one that's been established over quite a track record in the AHL. Yes, he's still young, but 22 is getting to the need to see leaps if you're not putting up elite numbers at the AHL level. And he hasn't had that yet, despite good mechanics and an above average frame. To his credit, though, the Rocket have by and large played like hot garbage in front of him this season. His defensive environment, according to the model I have for defensive environment, rates as the 5th worst in the AHL. And that's before this weekend's data is put in and processed. And the eye test very much backs up that model's assessment of Laval's defense as being bad. He's facing a ton of high danger chances as Laval can't defend its blue line, and rush chances are some of the most dangerous shots you can give up. We talked about that in episode 0, 60 some episodes ago, about how the rush chances, shots off rush chances make up only like 4% of all shots taken, but they're like 20% of all goals. Those percentages are a little bit off, but you get the idea. Laval also defends the high danger areas poorly. So we see a lot of shots up close and off passes across Royal Road. A lot of, times he'll be kicking rebounds to good places, and their defensemen either won't be there, or, they won't win the races to those rebounds when they should. Brandon Biro's goal aside, because he kicked this rebound to an area where it didn't look like anyone was there, and Brandon Biro just comes out of nowhere. And, oh, hey, look at the... Sorry, Penn State alum Brandon Biro.
Oh, right. Gotta
Yeah,
we are and everything, right? Yeah. Uh, well, real quick before we go into the looking ahead and looking forward for the Laval Rocket. 4 out of those 6 straight starts for Primo have been victories. And I mean, he's allowed, 3 goals or less in each one of those 4 victories. In the 2 defeats, he's allowed 4 goals. So, I mean, he can't stand on his head per se every night. But I mean, the fact that he's finding his rhythm and the Rocket are at least putting up enough offense to bail him out. If he lets in 3 goals, that one time in those 6 games, I mean, at least they have the scoring acumen to make up for the shoddy defense. I know that's not going to win you any championships, but
it will if you're Rochester, because that's pretty much how Rochester is built. The difference between Rochester and Laval, though, is JJ Peterka, Jack Quinn, Peyton Krebs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they have puck-moving defensemen and forwards who can absolutely just terrorize you on the rush, whereas Laval has team speed and good players in the rush, but they don't have that high-end talent when, Cole Caulfield isn't in town or no, it's pretty much just Cole Caulfield. Like I like Harvey Pinard a lot. I like his game a lot. But he doesn't have the finishing ability that you get from Quinn and Peterka or from Cole Caulfield or anything like that. But that's why they kind of have to play offense they have to be able to roll 4 lines because they don't have star talent really anywhere in the lineup right now outside of, I guess, Caden Primo. I wouldn't call him that, but he's played better recently.
All right, let's finish her up. So I'm looking at the schedule here. Laval has 3 games left in the calendar year of 2021. So, yeah, kind of crazy. Sean, break it down for us. What do the Rocket have to look forward to finish out December?
One of the other things that's been playing Laval is they have another split weekend coming up as they continue to have to prepare for multiple opponents each weekend. They host Providence before going to Syracuse. And while Providence has been rolling, Syracuse has been pretty consistently bad. Amir Miftakov has been pretty much the only bright spot and like 1 or 2 forwards, but they have been underwhelming so far this season. After the holiday break, they have Syracuse again. So a very good chance for the Rocket here to kind of reset going into the new year.
They do have Syracuse again after the holiday break, but at least they have 5 home games in a row. So, hopefully going to stir the pot, get a little bit of that home cooking going, and maybe some get right games there as well after a 11-day break between December 18th and December 29th at Syracuse and versus Syracuse. So there you have it.
All right, well, we are going to take a break here. After the break, we will get to Grand Rapids and Manitoba. If you're just here for Laval, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to us from. I'm assuming it's French Canada somewhere. So please harass us about our French pronunciations because we're 2 English-speaking mooks. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to us from so you get episodes in a timely fashion. Also, check us out on social media. Links to our social media as well as all of our podcatchers, YouTube channels, all of the fun stuff can be found at our Linktree page at linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. We're going to pay some bills. We will be right back.
We're all finished up recapping the Eastern Conference, at least in detail. We've got a series in the Western Conference now, and then the Central Division, to be more specific. We got Grand Rapids, the Griffins at Manitoba against the Moose. And Sean, of course, in Manitoba, every night is Meese night because Friday at 7 p.m., the Moose come forward with the victory 4-2. And Saturday at 6 p.m., the Moose, again, limiting Grand Rapids to 2 goals, only scoring 3 this time, but still 3-2. That's good for a victory. That's good for a Manitoba weekend sweep. Sean, take it away. Friday, Saturday. What did those games look like?
So let's break down some goals here. Friday, after a bad defensive shift, Dominic Shine manages to recover a rebound and chip the puck ahead to Riley Barber, who makes the controlled zone exit. Tyler Spezia races through the neutral zone, and his effort gives Barber and him an odd man rush. Barber sauces a beautiful backhand pass through Declan Chisholm into an incredibly tight window, springing Spezia on the breakaway. Spezia rips a wrister past Arvid Holm on the breakaway. 1-0 Griffins, 18:43 left in the second. Josh Dickinson makes a pass across the slot to no one, and it rims all the way around to the fair point where Jared Mckissack sends it back behind the net to Dickinson. Dickinson makes a beautiful backhand no-look pass from behind the net to find Turner Elson all alone. Arvid Holm is looking over his other shoulder and doesn't see the pass, and Elson buries it before Holm can realize where the puck is. 2-0 Griffins with 8:39 left in the second. Harold's Eagle chips one into the Griffin zone. Mikey Asamont wins a puck battle with Ryan Murphy to recover it behind the net and turns to pass to Eagle in the slot. The pass deflects off the side of the net and then off the skate of Brett McKenzie and finds Cole Mayer on the far post, and he just snaps it in before Pickard can react. 2-1 with 17:38 left in the third. The Griffins win a board battle for the puck in their defensive zone, but John Martin can't make the exit pass and is stripped by Harold's Eagle. Eagle loses an edge, but manages to swipe the puck towards the slot. Mckissack gets a stick on it, but quickly loses possession to Colmer, who fires it on net. Pickard makes the save, but Mikey Isamont is there to bang home the rebound. Tie game at 2 with 12:05 left in the third period. During another long possession in the offensive zone, the Moose go to work on the cycle. Austin Pagansky works the puck up the boards and then cycles it back down to David Gustafson. Gustafson works from behind the net and sees Randy Gazzola drop down to try and block a passing lane to the slot. Gustafson goes behind the back with a pass to Miraless in the slot. He's well defended and can't hold on to the pass, which bounces back through the legs of Gazzola to Gustafson at the side of the net, and he bangs it home. 3-2 Moose with 3:30 left in the game. Christian Reichel hits the empty net, and that seals it for the Moose, who come back from a 2-0 deficit to win 4-2.
R.I.P. Gazzola, released from his PTO today as we were recording.
Very fair.
Just saying, R.I.P. Rip.
So Saturday's goals. The Moose skyhook the puck out of the zone after a defensive faceoff win. Seth Barton recovers in the Griffins' end and tries to play it up to Wyatt Newpower. It deflects and hits Newpower in the body and is scooped up by Cole Mayer. Mayer taps it to Harold's Eagle, who has a mini breakaway from the left faceoff dot. He goes with the classic backhand forehand move and tucks it past Pickard on the far post. 1-0 Moose, 7-11 in the first period. The Moose doubled up just over a minute later. Mikey Isamont walks into the offensive zone, pulls up, and chips it deep. Colmer recovers behind the net and tries to put it past the slot, but it goes all the way to the point. Leon Gawanki grabs it, fakes the wrister, gets Turner Elson to bite on the shot block, then walks past him and rifles a shot bar down. 2-0 Moose with 5:49 left in the first. Ryan Murphy gets a controlled zone entry off a regroup, but is muscled off the play by Nelson Nogier. The puck goes down the board to Turner Elson, who spins and hits Riley Barber in the slot. He is wide open and one-times a missile low blocker past Mikhail Burton. 2-1 with 11:55 left in the second. Liam Gawanki breaks up a zone entry shorthanded and chips the puck out of the zone. Christian Reichel takes it through the neutral zone one-on-one with Seth Barton. Dominic Shine pokes the puck off him from behind, but Taro Hirose dives with a sweeping poke check and sweeps it right back to Reichel. Reichel rips the wrister over the blocker of Calvin Pickard. 3-1 Moose with 10:26 left in the third. Gawanki doesn't cleanly field a pass at the point on the power play and sends Turner Elson on a shorthanded breakaway from his own blue line. He risked one low blocker past Mikhail Burton to make it 3-2 with 8:18 left in the third. But that would be all she wrote.
Goodness. Arvid Holm played a game this weekend? What?
Yeah.
Manitoba's actually been doing a pretty good job of splitting games between those two. Burton's only played 4 games in a row twice this season, and that's saying something for Manitoba. All right, well, let's go to the picks recap. Paige called it. Paige called game. Manitoba sweep. Sean, you said part of you did not trust Burton in what was almost assuredly back-to-back starts, which it wasn't. So he would take a split and call Grand Rapids to win whichever game Pickard starts. Well, guess what? Cal Pickard started both games, and Grand Rapids lost both games. So, yikes. What a qualifier there. The model said Manitoba, 54.9% favorite in both games. So, Sean, you kind of got burnt on that one, but
some qualifiers, but we'll get there.
Some qualifiers, but we'll get there. Okay, let's start with the team macro view. 2 games that saw Manitoba hold on to a 1-goal lead late in the third. Friday, they added an empty netter for good measure as the insurance goal, but it was essentially 2 1-goal games. What was the big difference between the Moose and the Griffins that allowed both Friday and Saturday night to be Meese night with those 2 dubs?
So 2 big things here. Number one, the Moose coaching staff made an adjustment in the first intermission of Friday's game. The Griffins' hybrid 2-1-2 offensive zone forecheck was getting home. They were forcing turnovers. They were creating havoc in the first period of that Friday game. The Moose adjusted, and instead of looking to stretch the ice with breakout passes, they decided they were going to adjust, go D to D, regroup, make sure that they're finding outlet valves for that pressure. They looked to get short support at the blue line, and then they looked to change sides in the neutral zone. So they'd feel pressure on 1D, he'd go D to D. That defenseman would go short support to a forward, like right at the blue line, and then he's looking to go across ice through the neutral zone. You saw plays like that from Manitoba from the second period through the end of Saturday's game. Griffin's forecheck basically the rest of the weekend did very little. They never made adjustments. They never tried to readjust and figure it out. That caused the Moose to tilt the ice severely in their direction in terms of puck possession, because because Grand Rapids basically played dump and chase the entire time. So they needed that forecheck to get home. And for 1 period out of 6 periods they played, it did. And the Moose were like, nah, you know what? We're not going to hang around and just watch you, crush us like that. We're going to make adjustments. And once that happens, the whole series shifted. Their D-core took over. They outplayed the Griffins' back end in 4 key aspects. This is the second big part here, is the Manitoba Moose defensive core, which we hyped up in the preview show. They outplayed the Griffins' back end in 4 key aspects of being a professional defenseman. Number 1, defending the blue line in a superior fashion. The Griffins basically got forced to play dump and chase for the better part of 6 periods because the Moose made them. Their top 4 defensemen just forced them to play dump and chase or get stripped at the blue line. The number of times in which I saw Declan Chisholm, Leon Gawanka, guys like that step up and make plays at the blue line or in the neutral zone to force Grand Rapids to play dump and chase was unbelievable. Like, it was truly beautiful to watch them defend the neutral zone that well. The only one on Grand Rapids side who I could even say did a decent job of defending the Grand Rapids blue line was Wyatt Newpower. It was pretty much him and him alone playing defense in the neutral zone there. A lot of very loose gaps by Manitoba. Not a good weekend, a lot of loose gaps by Grand Rapids. Not a great showing by their defensive core in that aspect. Second big aspect of being a professional hockey defenseman is recovering dump-ins better and getting the puck moving up the ice. Grand Rapids repeatedly had defensemen fumbling pucks, making turnovers in the defensive zone. Only Murphy and Newpower did anything to get controlled zone exits. A lot of times, the rest of the bottom four defensemen for the Griffins were just going glassing out or making shoddy breakout passes. It was not good, and the Moose did an amazing job once they adjusted their breakout scheme to be more D to D short support. You saw a much higher rate of controlled zone exits. They were not just punting the puck, glassing out into the Griffins for them to recover and come back in. Third thing, they defended the front of their net better. The Moose outshot Grand Rapids 31-19 from home plate in the series. If that's not defending your high danger areas or defending your net front better, I don't know what is. The Moose are great at shot suppression, and they held that reputation through this series. They managed to keep Grand Rapids pretty low on shots and mostly from the outside. The Grand Rapids Griffins were not able to generate a lot of high quality chances compared to what they were giving up. They shifted the battle in that sense. And the last thing, number 4 thing here, big aspect of being a professional hockey defenseman is creating offense at the blue line. Leon Gawanke scored an absolute beauty. Chisholm had some nice chances. You really saw the Moose do a lot of great things off their blue line with their defensemen, them activating, getting down in the play, looking to be an active part of the cycle in the zone. And again, Wyatt Newpower was alone for me for really making an impact on offense off the blue line for the Griffins. Ryan Murphy was largely absent from this series. Like he made some pretty nice plays on their power play, but like he does not look like the same guy. So for 5 out of 6 periods, the Moose were the better team in this series, in my mind. And it started on the adjustment they made for breakouts and having a top 4 defensive core that just kept the ice tilted in the Moose's direction in both games.
Man, well, no wonder Arvid Holm is gaining some confidence up there in Manitoba. When you have defensive efforts like that, I mean, it's not going to be easy because, we're talking about AHL hockey here, but it's going to be easier as, they don't have to rely on a guy with the skill set of Mikhail Burton. And speaking of the Birdman, let's dive into the detailed analysis. Mikhail Burton finally getting some time off, splitting some time with Arvid Holm. I think Holm got a shutout a couple games ago. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before. Did Burton, though, did he look fresher in Saturday's game now that he's not playing 100 games in a row in a season?
Oh, absolutely. Don't get the raw save percentage twisted here. While the team in front of him played very well defensively, they let up a few great A's, and Mikhail Burton got all of them except 2. One was a goalie's actual nightmare. Riley Barber flying through the slot with a pass teed up for him so he can one time. If that is what's coming down on you, good luck to you, sir. That is something where, if you let up that goal and you're Mikhail Burton, it's like, you know what? I'm not even mad. You should have just held your hands out and been like this. Those are chances that can't happen. And the fact that he let up that goal, that's fine. The other one was a shorthanded breakaway that Turner Elson had from his blue line. Like, yeah, puck took an unfortunate hop over Leon Gawonki's stick and Elson sprung on it. Like, fluke bounce. But again, when you have a shorthanded breakaway with that much runway, good luck to you, Mr. Goaltender, because that's a tough one to stop. But a lot of other big chances, he came up big, and he looked sharp throughout much of the game. At a few moments to let you know that he was feeling it too. He made a big Statue of Liberty save and just flicks the puck out in the second period. Mikhail Burton was feeling it and looked sharp, looked on his game, much better than I've seen him in recent starts, where you can clearly tell the workload was wearing him down. I will say, though, his puck handling is at least becoming a concern. He loves to do it, which is fine, but he needs to have a better rapport with his defensemen and teammates when he does it. Takes way too many chances and makes a few misplays where he's just miscommunicating, misreading the play in front of him. They cost his team's possession in their own end. You're never going to get Mikhail Burton to stop handling the puck or just say, just stop the puck and leave it there for your defenseman. Like, you're never going to get him to do that, which is fine. It's good even. But he needs to be on the same page with the Moose on the ice when he does it, though. And he wasn't far too often for my liking in his game. That would be my only criticism of Mikhail Burton is, yeah, he was feeling it all right, but like, you need goalie exchanges between, your goaltenders and your defensemen and your forwards to be non-events. Like, I understand he wants to go for like the, neutral zone breakout pass every once in a while, and that's fine. But like, he needs to make the short ones to his defensemen or the rim arounds a much higher percentage play than he is right now.
Even though I'm going to shift gears a little bit here, Sean, but even though the Griffins lost both the games this weekend, did anyone really stand out to you on Grand Rapids on their side in a positive way?
Calvin Pickard played really well in both games. He actually wasn't supposed to start Saturday, but Bratstrom apparently tweaked a lingering injury in the morning skate and wasn't able to start. Pickard looked tired on Saturday, which is understandable. He had a 41 save effort the night before. And yeah, probably could have used the night off, but when your backup goalie that you were planning on starting, tweaks something, a minor lingering injury in the morning skate.
And you can't call up Fulcher from Canada. What you gonna do, brother?
Well,
you can't call up Fulcher to Canada.
Yeah, he's not gonna get there. He's not gonna get there in what, 6 hours? It'd be ready to start.
No. If this game was
Calvin Pickard,
if this game was in, if this game was in, Longmont, Illinois, that might be a different story. But anyway, continue on. Sorry, Grand Rapids.
Wyatt Newpower looked really good. Like way better than I remember Wyatt Newpower looking. And man, Cleveland could really have used him right now. I bet you they're kicking themselves for that one. He defended the blue line very well. He moved the puck well. He created offense from the blue line a few times, doing more than just the standard, oh, the puck comes to me at the blue line. I guess my options are rim around or shot from nowhere. He did better than that every time I saw him touch the puck. Grand Rapids needs at least 3 more guys who are capable of that on their defensive unit right now, and they just don't have them. Jonathan Bergeron also had a few moments where he flashed and was maybe the only Griffins forward who tried to get controlled zone entries with any frequency. I mean, he's really good through the neutral zone, and that's going to be an NHL level skill for him in the future. He does have some junior tendencies into him where he tends to try and turn everything into a one-on-one, which he's good, has good puck skills. So I understand that desire, but he definitely needs to try and focus on using the space a little bit better. Riley Barber found soft ice in the offensive zone a few times, had some good scoring chances, basically doing Riley Barber things. One point I will make is whoever decided to put Riley Barber on his strong side on the power play is making a mistake. It also explains why the Griffins' power play is a mess. You put that dude on his offside and let him home run swing at pucks that come near him. That's what you do with Riley Barber. And I understand he's good at the, strong side curl and drag move, but his one-timer's better. This is a silly decision by the Griffins coaching staff and whatever assistant coach runs the power play. That's your best weapon in a less than optimal spot by choice. Dumb. I'd be hard pressed to give any other Griffin a passing grade this weekend, though. Taro Hirose, invisible. I literally thought he was out for the weekend halfway through the game Saturday. I was like, man, I guess it sucks they don't have Taro Hirose playing. And then I look up, oh no, he played all of Friday, which I watched, and I'm halfway through the second period of Saturday. Didn't even know he was in the game. And I was listening to the Griffins broadcast, so it's not like, his name wouldn't have been said. That's not a good sign. Ryan Murphy had some moments, but is by and large not the guy he was in Henderson. And part of me thinks that he doesn't have the freedom to join the rush or lead it anymore, or something's wrong with him and he's not able to do it. But he has not been the defenseman utilizing the skills that I've seen him have in the past. So I can't say what's going on there, but that is not the Ryan Murphy we saw last year in Henderson by leaps and bounds. Jared Mckissack went down with injury on Saturday, blocked a shot to the face. At least that's what it looked like on replay. Yeah, that kid cannot catch a break when it comes to just bad injury luck. But even before he went down, we talked about him on the preview show on Friday, and nothing that I saw in his stint through this weekend looked good. I'm pretty convinced that he has a lower body injury that he's playing through at this point, because his defensive skating is atrocious. He got burned twice in this game, and he used to be someone who held tight gaps to the neutral zone and was physical, and he's just not. I don't know if it's a hip injury or an ankle injury or something, but I'm convinced at this point something is wrong before he got, took a shot block to up high.
Yeah, and in the games that I've noticed with Grand Rapids, Sean, is that if Taro Hirose is not, kind of dictating the pace and kind of leading the team, like I said, this guy is the leader, and both on the ice and off the ice. This guy is the Grand Rapids Griffins leader. And as he goes, I feel like the team goes, and that's not good. You got to have a number of guys that are willing to step up. But when you didn't even notice him until halfway through the second game this weekend, that is concerning. You've got to have your number one guy be visible at least for most of the game. And if he isn't, other guys have to step up and step in, and that's not happening for the Griffins. And if that's going to continue throughout the season, then they're probably, they might sneak in, with the wacky playoff system that's going on here. But they'll probably not get past the first round if they do make the playoffs, if they make the playoffs at all.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They were our pick to get bounced from playoff contention into missing at Thanksgiving, correct?
I think so. If it wasn't both of ours, it might have been just yours. But yeah, I do remember their name getting discussed quite a bit. Thanksgiving feels like 100 years ago, of course.
That's
2021.
Very fair.
20. Yeah, this year is dragging on in dog years, I feel like. But anyway, let's finish her up and let's talk both Manitoba and Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids, easy for me to say, looking down the pike. Let's talk Manitoba first, though. Go ahead.
So I think the big question here is, are the Moose for real? We're going to find out as they play Chicago and then Iowa twice, all on the road. They've looked good so far, but they've also had a lot of Milwaukee, Texas, and Grand Rapids on their schedule. They split against Iowa earlier at home and blasted Chicago in their one meeting this season, 5-1. But a very telling stretch coming up for the Moose that is going to kind of help identify, are they the team that they've looked like in spurts, or is this a team that is not quite ready for prime time in the Central Division? Grand Rapids, on the other hand, has some time to prepare before a Saturday-Sunday series against Toronto and Milwaukee, against Toronto and then Milwaukee on Wednesday before the holiday break. They haven't played Toronto yet this season and are 1-0 against Cleveland. I'm sorry, did they play Cleveland on Wednesday or Milwaukee?
Let me check real quick. Hang tight. Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids plays Toronto the 18th and 19th, and then Milwaukee on the 22nd, Cleveland on the 27th.
Okay, yeah. So they, after Toronto and Milwaukee, then they play Cleveland. They're 1-0 against Cleveland, but Grand Rapids really needs to get something going here. They've won one game of their last 7. The good thing to note, that team they beat in the one game, Cleveland. So, and Toronto has been kind of hit and miss, up and down a little bit. They've improved recently. Milwaukee certainly is not an infallible team like we thought they would be. So the Grand Rapids have a chance to kind of get back on track here, but they need to get something going quickly as they are sliding down the death division quite rapidly.
Quite grand rapidly, as it were. Yeah.
Did not intend for that, but sure, we'll take it.
I sure did. You know I did. Oh, all right. All puns aside, at least for the time being, we're going to take another respite, as it were. After the break, we'll get to the Stockton Heat and the Tucson Roadrunners, Jekyll and Hyde themselves. If you're just here for Grand Rapids and Manitoba and some good Central Division cooking, thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to us from. We are 5 listeners away on YouTube from 100. We are at 95. So if you listen to our YouTube channel and you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Please push us over that threshold. Get us to 100 subscribers, and we can actually be youtube.com/the Calder Farmstead instead of youtube.com/ blah, 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 all the letters that come after that. Please, and thank you for that. You can get episodes in a timely fashion as well. That's just, of course, another benefit of that. Check us out on social media. Links to our social media, as well as links to YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, can be found at our Linktree page at linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. Once again, link TangoRomeo.echo/the Calder Farmstead. Alrighty, we are going to run some advertisements, but we've got the one series in detail to cover, Stockton, Tucson, after the break. Next. All right, it's time to talk more specifically about Tucson. Oh, Sean's shaking his head. I know. Leading with a pun
start already.
Off to a bad start. Bad is in the eye of the beholder, sir. Let's talk Stockton at Tucson this past weekend. Friday, holy smokes. Tucson 5-4 in a shootout. There was a lot of goals. 9 total goals. Maybe on the cusp of a goal fest, as it were. But Stockton, of course, answering back on Saturday. Tucson living up to their Jekyll and Hyde persona, as it were, from last season. Stockton taking the victory 5-1 on Saturday. And Sean, take it away for the Pacific Division Series in
we got a lot
Arizona.
of goals to cover here,
yes,
so buckle up.
Yes, you do. Buckling up.
All right, Friday. Tucson chips and chases into the Stockton zone as Ben wings McCartney gets to it first and throws it blindly towards Blake Spears in the slot. Colton Pullman pokes it away, but it bounces off Blake Spears and towards Adam Werner, who can't get a glove on it, and it goes in. 1-0 Tucson off a fortunate bounce, 16:44 left in the first period. The Heat get the cycle going, and it's worked across the blue line to Morrow. Morrow shoots it, and it goes wide as he was looking for the tip, but didn't get it. The puck rims around to the point where Jacob Peltier just turns and throws it on net. In an attempt to deflect it away, Cam Crotty gets a stick on it, but deflects it over Prosvetov's shoulder. Tie game at 1, 7:47 left in the first. Glenn Gaudin gets a breakout pass and goes flying through the neutral zone. He walks past Matthias Mckelly and kicks it to Matthew Phillips. Phillips kicks the pass to his stick as he speeds by Michael Carconi. He cuts through the slot and snaps one past the glove of Prosvetov. 2-1 Heat with 5:47 left in the first. On the cycle, the Roadrunners work it to the point for Crotty, who immediately taps it across for Cole Holtz. Holtz finds Mckelly in the slot, and he finds space to maneuver. As he finds space to maneuver, he pulls back to his forehand and risks an absolute laser beam past Adam Varner's blocker to tie the game at 2, 16-18 left in the second. Glenn Gaudin whacks a puck off the stick of Blake Spears and sends Jacob Peltier on a 2-on-2 rush with Matthew Phillips. Peltier cuts across the slot as Phillips crashes to the net and drags both defenders with him. Peltier gets Prosvetov a bit off his angle and fires it past his glove to retake the Heat lead just over a minute later. 3-2 Heat with 15 minutes left in the second. Jacob Peltier dumps it in the zone, and Glenn Gaudin makes the retrieval. He flings it to Connor Mackey, who rims it right back behind the net. Peltier grabs it as Gaudin slides to the slot. Peltier skates out and fires a pass through the slot to Matthew Phillips, who is streaking into the slot. Phillips buries it top shelf through traffic. 4-2 Heat with 12:58 left in the second. Tucson kills the penalty and rims the puck out of the zone as it expires. Hudson Elnyuk leaves the box and picks it up in the neutral zone and races down the wall. He goes one-on-one with Connor Mackey, with Connor Zary right on his tail. The puck gets swept to the corner, but both Connors follow Elnyuk into the corner instead of scanning over their shoulder. Elnyuk hits Travis Barron, who's all alone in the slot, and he goes forehand, backhand to beat Varner. 4-3 Heat with 8:55 left in the second. Tucson gets a zone entry from Blake Spears, and he makes a drop pass to Fashing, but he returns it, and Spears hurls it at the net from a dead angle. Walensky swats the rebound away to the boards, where Victor Soderstrom recovers it and blindly throws it at the net. It somehow finds its way through the legs of Varner to tie it up at 4, 2:39 left in the second. Regulation time and 3-on-3 do not break the tie, so we go to the skills competition. Mckelly and Kirkland both score in the first set of 3 shooters, so we go to extra shooters where Terry Broadhurst cuts across the slot, flips his hips like he's going backhand, brings the puck back forehand, and snaps it over Werner's blocker. Luke Philp misses the net, and the Roadrunners win 5-4 in the shootout. Dr. Jekyll, I presume.
Dr. Jekyll, I presume. Absolutely.
Saturday, Emilio Peterson gains the zone with a controlled the zone with a zone entry and cuts across the top of the circles with the puck. He draws not 1, not 2, but 3 Roadrunners defenders to him before he throws it on net. Prosvetov makes the save and kicks the rebound to the corner. Peterson gets it back, finds Glenn Gaudin in the high slot, who one-times the puck past Prosvetov. 1-0 Heat, 4:03 left in the first period. The Heat managed to get a loose puck to Walensky, who goes D-to-D across the blue line to Solovyev, who passes across Royal Road to Zary. Zary fires it on net. Prosvetov makes the save, but the rebound is in a mass of humanity in front of the net. Tuilola gets it free, and he puts it into space where Solovyev finds it and turns and fires and beats Prosvetov over his blocker through a scramble of defenders. 2-0 Heat with 2:53 left in the first period. Boko Amama turns the puck over in the neutral zone on a Martin Pospisil poke check, and Connor Zary races down the wall with it 2-on-0 with Emilio Peterson. Zary opts to shoot it and beats Prosvetov short side under the glove. 3-0 Heat with 6:23 left in the second. Ryan McGregor flies through the neutral zone off a cross-ice pass from Vlad Provolnyov. He gets the zone entry and fires one in on Teen Wolf. Wolf makes the save, but McGregor pounces on the rebound and wraps it around before Wolf can recover. The Teddies go flying. It's 3-1 Heat with 13 seconds left in the second period. Connor Zary ties up Vad Probyonov along the boards, and Pospisil picks up the loose puck and flies to the neutral zone. Pospisil spins, finds Connor Zary across the slot. Zary goes back across the slot to find Emilio Peterson, who one times it past a sprawling Prospatov 4-1 heat with 16:38 left in the third. Matthew Phillips scoops up a rebound in his defensive end and works it up the wall to a streaking Justin Kirkland. Kirkland sprints down the wall and drags Victor Soderstrom with him. Kirkland finds a trailer in the slot in Ilya Solovyov, who no one picked up. Solovyov fires it top shelf, and it's 5-1 heat with 14:20 left in the third. That would be all the scoring. Stockton takes the game on Saturday.
For saying see, I can't even say it. Vlad Provolnov. Yeah, see, I can't even say it. After all those pronunciations, all I have to say is spasiba. Thank you, Sean. I really appreciate you pronouncing those Russian names. All right, picks recap. Of course, I don't want to say, I mean, Paige covers the team, so she knows how good they are. She picked the Stockton sweep for the weekend. You were trusting in a Dr. Jekyll appearance this weekend, but you picked the wrong day. You picked Saturday that Tucson was going to rear its ugly head as the infamous Mr. Hyde, right? Yes. Yeah. Cause that's the evil side, good side. Anyway. So yes, one of those picks incorrect, but hey, Stockton did take one of those games. Stockton 53.7% favorite in both games in Tucson in the desert. Big picture takeaways. Let's get started, shall we? The Heat were a favorite in this series, obviously, and you said that they should look to trade chances with Tucson and turn this into a boat race if the Roadrunners allowed them to do so. That certainly looks like what happened on Friday. Shawnee, what was that you saw?
Yeah, that's what I saw. That was a damn fun game to watch, and not an unusual sight for the Heat, as they are happy to trade chances with just about anyone as they think they'll be able to get the better of those chances. And they were right in this game. They absolutely got better of the scoring chances and capitalized on them.
Yeah, two heavyweights just trading goals back and forth, or at least in that game. How did Tucson get a win in the shootout on Friday's game?
Well, when you're the better team and want to trade chances, good things often happen. Bad things sometimes happen. It's a sport with a bouncy rubber disc on ice. Goofy bounces will happen, and luck regularly puts its thumb on the scale. Tucson got a freak bounce to start the scoring and got one from Soderstrom to tie the game at 4 that I still don't know how Werner did not stop. I watched that goal 7-ish times. Still have no idea. Like, clean look at it, not really traffic in front. Just not a hard shot. Don't know. Just a momentary brain fart. Not to mention, Tucson got 33-year-old Terry Broadhurst, who scored 6 AHL goals in his last 80 AHL games, to get a shootout winner, and like a pretty good-looking shootout winner too. I could not believe that was Terry Broadhurst, but sure. And don't get me wrong, Tucson scored on 2 A+ chances with Barron and Mckelly's goals and got a lot of high-quality chances, but they definitely got the short end of the scoring chances stick on Friday, but came away with a W anyway. Hockey is a game in which the better team wins maybe 65% of the time. But like I said, I don't think this was the wrong approach for Stockton to take here. A bad goal or two goes against you, and that's going to happen. Trade chances and good outcomes usually happen. Bad outcomes occasionally happen. This was the latter. I'm positive, though, that the trade chances style of Friday's game was not intentional, by the way. Coaches hate that style, even if it's working, because they see those odd man rushes coming the other way as preventable and not a trade-off. They're not wrong that they're preventable, but I'm okay with trading 3-on-2s if I believe firmly that my side is more capable of scoring on those chances and can create them more often in transition, which is how I would have taken the approach for this Stockton game and this Stockton series. I'd be happy to trade chances with you, and the Heat occasionally get into those battles, and they usually do well with them. I understand why coaches don't like them, because they want to have more control, and they don't like seeing preventable scoring chances. But live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah, majority of the time, Stockton wins that game. But again, hockey is game played on ice with a vulcanized rubber disc, bouncing around. Let's talk about Saturday. Was that a different style of game? I mean, obviously Stockton with the 5-1 victory, but was it the same style, kind of the, run and gun back and forth between Stockton and Tucson?
It was the same. It was in the sense that there was less trading of chances, but you more saw this because you saw Stockton be a bit more responsible in the neutral zone and not having that third forward trying to press up as often or get as deep on these transition plays. So don't get me wrong. Saturday was still a very fun up and down the ice style game, but it was more controlled on Saturday, which is probably why it went a lot more against Tucson. As in a more controlled game, they aren't able to generate as many quality scoring chances as the Heat are, which again is probably why Mitch Love doesn't want to be trying to trade chances, because he feels he can create a bigger edge for his team in a more controlled kind of pace of play, which is understandable, but not as fun. Still, though, Tucson got chances in this game, which does alarm me a little bit, that the Heat are still good for giving up like a breakaway or two a game. Giving up odd man rushes is one thing. Giving up one on those is a completely different thing. So that's at least a negative to take away from a Stockton weekend in which they were far and away the better team in both games, but still a little bit of concern seeing them give up some breakaways like that.
Stockton learning enough to win on Saturday, but definitely room to improve, it sounds like. So Tucson, Roadrunners, any positive takeaways from them as a team this weekend?
I think their penalty kill looked a lot better, especially than it had in previous weeks. They went 4 for 4 over the weekend against a good power play. And while they still gave up quality looks, I mean, you're down a man. You're always going to give up quality looks. It's an inevitable part of killing penalties. But I thought they did a better job of limiting them. They had a couple of good forechecking sequences that I think they'll be able to show when they do film studies of their 1-1-2 working really well and pressing Stockton and rejecting their zone entries. But I thought they did a pretty good job against a damn good power play. And I think that's something for Tucson to build on, because it's not gone well for them this season. I think they were under 80% to start the weekend. One last thing I do want to say about Tucson, though, is a coaching choice that I don't understand. How do you start Prosvetov in back-to-back games where he faced 40-plus shots on Friday and then leave him in for all 5 goals on Saturday? I know Kojanash has not been good this season, but damn, there's no need to do Prosvetov like that, in my opinion. Like, now, could this have been like we didn't have an e-bug and Kojanash was basically our e-bug that we knew? Maybe, but I still felt like that was a pretty rough way to treat your goaltender in that game. A 41 save shootout win, and you leave him hanging out to dry for, when it's 4-1, he doesn't need to be in that game anymore.
No. And maybe he just didn't want to go sit on the stool in the corner. He's like, hey, I'm staying in net here. You don't put me.
Oh, no, he's not going on the stool. He's going to the locker room.
Right. Yeah. He's taking off his goalie gear. He's done for the night. Yeah.
You would have thought Kojanash would have been jumping to get off of the isolation stool in the side of the building there. I would have thought he'd have been jumping at that chance. And after the third goal was scored, coach, me, I go in now. Yeah. Maybe opening the door a little bit,
They just had Kojanash on. You sit in the corner and think about what you've done this season. Duty. That's put on that dunce cap or take off your helmet and wear the Tucson ball cap for crying out loud, or whatever he was wearing. But anyway, let's get into the minutia, shall we? You talked about Matthias Mckelly in the preview with Paige, and how he's growing and taking steps forward into becoming a player that he always had the potential to be. I know he's won an award or two for the AHL weekly awards this season so far. What did you see from him this weekend?
More evidence of exactly that. He still needs to be a bit more active on the defensive side of the puck, but that's always an uphill battle with guys who are as skilled as he is. Not a lot of defensive effort from your Patrick Kanes, Alex Ovechkins, Evgeny Malkins, Leon Draisaitl's of the world. He still needs to add more muscle to his frame to be able to play through contact. But let me tell you something. He attacked the middle and drove to the net repeatedly, and that was one of the big criticisms about him. He set up plays and found space in the high danger areas. The biggest thing is that he was able to play with pace and look driven to move his feet in transition and on offense. The defensive effort needs to be better, but it's not as terrible as it was in juniors. But this is a player who, if I'm the Arizona Coyotes organization, like, I'm very excited about the steps I'm seeing forward from him, because he's turning the page on a lot of criticism that he got coming out of juniors, and is really showing that he is at least looking like a future star in the Arizona organization. Now, that's getting ahead of myself maybe a little bit, but like, I was not expecting to see leaps and bounds forward from this year when we talked about him in the preseason. And this weekend was just more evidence that he's continuing to press forward and become a better, more complete forward, and hopefully eventually a complete player. Now, he doesn't have to be a complete player, because just like I just said, you have a lot of guys at the NHL level who are super skilled who wouldn't know defense if it skated over their scrotum. Patrick Kane, Evgeny Malkin, Alex Ovechkin, Leon Draisaitl. We could go on here for quite some time. Tyler Seguin. Like, these guys don't play defense. They don't have to, because they're really, really good at offense. So that's not necessary, but he is going to need to progress further in offense before he's able to just be like, no, I don't need to play defense, coach. That's not my thing. Look at all the points I put up for you. So,
Well, Mckelly, yeah, definitely the low-hanging fruit in regards to individuals for the Roadrunners. Anybody else for Tucson stick out to you this weekend?
I was very surprised to see Victor Soderstrom have a Jekyll and Hyde weekend all to himself. He had his usual Dr. Jekyll moments that I expected from someone of his caliber, but wow, were there some Mr. Hyde moments from him this weekend that I have not seen from him in the AHL before, including getting absolutely dunked on a few shifts on Friday. Not too often you see him give up an atrocious turnover and then get put on his ass on the same shift. I believe it was Martin Pospisil who just dropped him. Like, Victor Soderstrom's a big dude. Like, he is not someone you can just toss around. And Martin Pospisil ragdolled him in one shift, both taking the puck and stripping him from it, and then just dropping him. It was, whew. As someone who sees him as a steadying force of the team, trying to bring some stability and capable talent on the back end, definitely quite a few bad shifts from him this weekend where he was out of place, not making good plays. Still saw good moments from him, so it wasn't a complete, burn the tape weekend from Soderstrom, but definitely one that saw him make a surprising number of misplays.
This is going to be kind of a question, especially since we're talking about one of the best teams in the AHL here. But let's flip the coin. Let's talk about the Heat. Anybody from Stockton stick out to you this weekend? I have a feeling we got some usual suspects here.
I mean, the Pelletier, Gaudin, Phillips line was just everywhere. Yep. It seemed like they just clicked in a way you don't see often. They were dangerous every time their steel hit the ice. And while that's not shocking because it's three talented dudes, that doesn't always equate to line chemistry. And they both have talent and chemistry. They are finding each other in ways that you don't expect to see. Like, they're not quite the Sedins, but three of them. But they definitely are able to make passes to areas, and the other one's just there. The assist on Phillips' goal where Gaudin had positioned him out in the front of that. I'm like, I thought that pass was going to Gaudin. And nope, it's like, to have the vision to see Phillips there from Pelletier is impressive. That's going to be a line that I think sticks through most of the season. We may need to come up with a name for it. Who else stuck out to me is Martin Pospisil, stuck out in a very positive way. Had a few shifts that were just amazing. He's physical in a way, though, that is more than just punishing. It's effective. He's not just trying to send the puck carrier into the first row, but also trying to separate the puck carrier from the puck while also delivering punishment. And that's an important distinction because a lot of guys, they don't care if they get to the puck carrier, runs the puck. They just want to put him into the first row or, send him through the boards if they can. Pospisil is looking to not just hit them, but make sure that he gets there and separates them from the puck, creates a turnover, as well as, putting a bruise on them. He still has some edges to smooth out in his off the puck game, when he's away from the play in the offensive zone and the defensive zone, but he's close to becoming another reliable forward for this team, which is terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. The more reliability you find in Stockton, the more you're going to find that Pacific Division crown in jeopardy of getting captured by the Heat as we venture later on into the season. Peltier, Phillips, and Godin. PPG. Maybe the Paints line? PPG? Paints? The Painters line? No, not a fan?
Nah.
I tried.
If they were in Wilkes-Barre, I'd say we had some, but
yes, that's fair. PPG Arena and all that. I didn't think about that. So, well, looking forward, Stockton, Tucson, both closing out the year in the Pacific Division there. Stockton, of course, is first place right now, 15-2-2-1. Tucson, 9-8-1-0 in fifth place. What do you see rest of December and the next upcoming games for both the Heat and the Roadrunners, Sean?
Well, Stockton has a 3-4 coming up against Colorado and Bakersfield, but at least they're all in Stockton, so that should help pad the blow. I expect them to roll Bakersfield, who can't find defense or a save right now. Colorado seems to be finding their game and hopefully can give us another, up and down, back and forth fun series like this one was. This is a lot of fun to watch. Tucson has a midweek series against Henderson. I want to say Tuesday and Wednesday, which is weird. But okay. But then they go to Ontario on Saturday for their only weekend game. So they have a kind of strange week, very awkward schedule. But both black and silver teams are having a little bit of a downswing here. They may still be second and the third in the Pacific Division, but both have hit a little bit of a rough patch here. So if Tucson can finally get its game together, which, I feel like is the thing we say about at the end of every Tucson segment we've had in the last, calendar year, they might be able to pull some points out of this and start to, climb the ladder in the Pacific Division there.
All right. Well, that's it for our detailed. That is it for our detailed weekend recaps. The weekend that was in the AHL and the 4 series that we choose to go over and preview and then recap. Yeah.
We are going to take a break here. And after the break, we will get to the cream of the crop, the best players of the weekend in the AHL. And I have a quiz for Cece this week. If you were just here for Stockton and Tucson and don't want to have any part of our fun, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to us from so you get episodes in a timely fashion. Also, check us out on social media where we do the memes. If you haven't seen the Stockton, Ontario one we did a couple weeks ago, or the Eustace for All, or Springfield Wolverine, you should probably check us out. We have some fun there. All of the links to that, as well as all of the places you can find our podcast, can be found at our Linktree page at linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. We're going to run some ads, pay some bills, keep the lights on. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the other side, brother. The land of madness. Yeah, it's time. And I'm going to warn you if you're lactose intolerant, because it's the cream of the crop. Nobody does it better on balance, off balance. Sean O'Brien, CC Hockley, going over the best players of the weekend that was. Oh, this is restrained madness. Can you feel it? Can you feel it in your bones, Shawnee? Oh, yeah. You got those Irish eyes smiling at me. I'm going to freak out. Yeah.
All right. Up first for me for the cream of the crop is Matthew Phillips from the Stockton Heat. We just talked about him. 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points on the weekend. That certainly qualifies you. He looked fantastic. He probably could have had 1 or 2 more should the puck have been bouncing his way just a little bit more. He is my first cream of the crop for the weekend. CC, who is yours?
Well, I'm going to take you north of the border. We're going to train in the Hart Foundation in the dungeon up there in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Whoa, no. We're not talking about the Hart Foundation. We're talking about Raphael, Harvey, Bernard. Yeah. 2 goals, 2 assists on the weekend, but his key play was on Sunday against the Bears to help lift the Rocket straight to the top. Yeah. On a questionable call on a penalty shot, he took advantage of it, casually sauntered down the left wing before he picked up speed and backhanded past Zach Fucali. Harvey Bernard netted the game-winning goal, and then, for good measure, he added another score. In the third period of a 4-2 win over Hershey, Raphael Harvey Bernard, don't call him a Ninja Turtle. He's my first cream of the crop. Yeah.
My second is Stefan Nason, Chicago Wolves. 4 goals, an assist, 5 points on the weekend, including an OT winner on Saturday for Chicago. Doesn't get too much better than that to net an OT winner on a 5-point weekend. Stefan Nason, my second cream of the crop. Cece, who do you have up next?
I got Justin Brazeau of Providence, the Bruins up there in Rhode Island, coming back from a prolonged absence. Brazeau has only played in 3 games thus far this season, and 2 of them were this weekend. So in game number 2, you could call him Mr. Kobayashi because he scored the first 2 goals to help the P Bruins over the Springfield. Oh, I almost called them the Falcons. This is in 2014. The Springfield Thunderbirds. Yeah, they gave him the shutout, 3-0 on Saturday, and he helped Kyle Kaiser Soze. Like I said, you can call Brazeau Mr. Kobayashi. Yeah, Soze earned his first AHL shutout. Kaiser Soze. Sorry. You can add another goal for Brazeau on Sunday in a 5-1 win over Toronto. Providence getting the weekend sweep on power play tally by Brazeau. Yeah, you got a 3-goal weekend for the returning forward. Brazeau helping Providence get that weekend sweep. Mr. Kobayashi, my second cream of the crop. Yeah.
My third and final cream of the crop is a very familiar face to us here on Cream of the Crop. It is Logan Thompson, Henderson Silver Knights. Stopped 63 of 65 shots this weekend for a very nice .969 save percentage. Shut out Rockford on Friday. Didn't get the goal support on the return game to get a W, but still he did everything he could to get Henderson some wins this weekend. Logan Thompson is my final cream of the crop for the weekend. Cece, who do you have?
Well, I'm going to go off the grid here, and I'm going to get a debuting AHL goal. His name is Matt Jerusic, making me want some Dunkaroos. It's my sweet snack as opposed to my savory snack, which, as you know, is a Slim Jim. Yeah! Jerusic, Dunkaroo Jerusic, the pride of LaGrange, Illinois, made his AHL debut against the Springfield T-Birds on Sunday. 28 saves on 28 shots later, the 24-year-old earned a shutout and a 6-0 Wilkes-Barre Scranton victory. Oh, yeah. They took the bat to him like Sting took the bat to me when I was in the NWO and WCW. Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you, Jerusic, after playing in the ECHL with South Carolina last season and Idaho this season, Jerusic signed a PTO with the Baby Pens on December 10th. Then voila! Start, finish, shutout, Jerusic, Dunkaroo. Yeah, my final cream of the crop for the weekend that was. Yeah.
All right. That makes it quiz time.
Yes, it does.
And
I'm back.
this week's quiz is called The Franchise. We are talking about franchise all-time leaders in stat categories.
Okay. Shane Douglas, the franchise. Here we go.
So basically, the way it's going to work is I'm going to give you a franchise and a category, and then I'm going to give you 3 options, and you have to tell me of those 3, who is the franchise leader for that team in that category.
All right, lay it on me.
All right, number 1, the Rochester Americans. Old franchise. Who is their all-time leader in points scored? Is it A, Jody Gage? Is it B, former Americans head coach Chris Taylor? Or is it C, and this is a real person, Dick Gamble?
I think it's Dick Gamble. Final answer, C.
Oh, CC, 0 for 1. We were looking for Jody Gage. Jody Gage, the Rochester Americans all-time leader in points.
Before my time, apparently.
Fair. So, Kyle Capobianco is the all-time leader amongst defensemen in Roadrunners history in goals, assists, and points, but he is not their all-time leader in games played amongst defensemen. Who is? Is it A, Dakota Mermis, B, Dyson Mayo, or C, Cam Dineen?
This is just for the Roadrunners.
Just for the Roadrunners.
Just for the Roadrunners. going to say Camdenine. Final answer.
Oh, Cece, you are
Damn it.
0 for 2.
It was
The answer
Mayo,
is
wasn't it?
Dyson Mayo.
God, that was my gut instinct. And of course, bit me in the rear.
All right, 2 down, 3 to go. Cece, you need to be perfect from here on out.
All right.
Chicago Wolves, AHL Chicago Wolves. Important distinction here.
Yes, very true.
Who is their all-time leader in the AHL in goals?
Okay.
Is it A, Darren Haydar, B, Jason Krog, or C, Brett Sterling?
I'm going to say Haydar. Final answer.
Sorry, you said what?
Haydar?
Oh, Cece, 0 for 3. We were looking for Brett Sterling.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try and justify that. I went 0 for 3. Like, can we do the final two just for
Oh,
the hell
of
it?
course. Why not?
Oh, of course, yes.
They're not going to get reused. So
Yeah.
the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, and only Lehigh, so not Adirondack, not Philadelphia,
Okay.
none of
all
their
right.
previous incarnations, strictly Lehigh Valley, their all-time leader in penalty minutes. Is it A, Samuel Morin, B, Tyrell Goulbourne, or C, Cole Bardreau?
Is it Goulbourne?
It is. It is Goulbourne.
There you go. Finally got
And last one, Grand Rapids Griffins franchise leader for games played.
AHL?
AHL.
Ah.
Is it A, Brian Lashoff, B, Mitch Callahan, or C, Dominic Turgeon?
What was the first one again?
Brian Lashoff.
I'm going to say Lashoff. Final answer.
Well, you got the last two.
I did. I guess because they were closer. I don't know. I guess they were closer to. I don't know. I can. Lehigh Valley's not close. Who am I kidding? Well, I went 2 for 3 or 2 for 5 rather, and picked up the last two at the end there. But Sean, as rare of an occurrence as it is,
I know. I don't get to win these very often. And
you don't.
I do try and, make them a reasonable challenge for you. So I'm going to take my 30 seconds here. What is on my mind?
Take it away, bud. Take it away.
No, I'm going to go back to it. We've only had a handful of goalie pool 80 challenge winners this year. We need to be coaches. You need to be doing better. You are already losing these games. Pull your goaltender. You're already down by 1. There's 4 minutes left. You're like 96% going to lose this game. Why are you waiting to 99% before pulling the goalie? You give up 2 empty net goals. Nobody cares. You still lost. Losing by 1 is the exact same as losing by 2, by 3, by 5. It doesn't matter. Have the courage. Have the guts. Pull your goalie early. That last media timeout in the third period, if you're down by 1, that's when you should be thinking about it. Not, 4 minutes from then. That's all I got.
Hey, by and large, I think, coaches have been much better about that than they have in the past. But last season, it's like I felt like we were awarding, 80 pull challenges or goalie 6-pack challenges, as we called it last year. We were awarding them every week.
We're trying. I'm doing the best I can to keep track. I do not track every single game, but I do at least make an effort to try and find ones that aren't in the games that we cover. So the fact that we only have a handful this year, I want to give more money to this cause. Please help us, coaches. Help us. Help you. Help us.
It's all for charity. Come on. This is like Celebrity Jeopardy. It's in the bag, and you're helping your team too.
All right, that's it for the show. Thank you for watching and or listening. The Calder Farmstead is part of the Full Press Radio Network. You can listen to this and a number of other great hockey, sports, and sports entertainment programs at www.fullpresscoverage.com. Just click the podcast drop-down menu in the top right portion of the website and enjoy.
Nice populating noise there of the podcast menu. kudos to that. Kudos to you. If you guys are enjoying the Calder Farmstead, we're both messing up because we're both not used to this. Please make sure to subscribe so you get episodes in a timely fashion. Also, if you're listening to Apple Podcasts, please rate and review the podcasts. Or if you're watching on YouTube, like the video, comment on what you thought of this episode, and don't forget to subscribe. Doing so helps others find the show, and your reviews help us improve it. You can also follow the show on social media at Calder Farmstead on Twitter, at The Calder Farmstead on Instagram and Facebook. Links to all of that and more can be found on our link tree, which is linktr.ee/The Calder Farmstead. Once again, link tangoromeo.echo/The Calder Farmstead. Big thanks to Adrian Drake, who made our theme music, and it's rocking. As you know, you can find him on social media at AD_dysfunction. That's DYSFUNCTION, so he can make music for you too. Sean, where can the people find you?
I'm Sean O'Brien, and you can find me on Twitter at Sean O'Brien81. That's SeanObrien81. I'm also on Instagram at Sean O'Brien_81. Both of those are personal accounts. My Twitter is mostly hockey tweets, but occasionally there's some pop culture or other things in there. My Instagram is an entirely personal account that's mostly just the world around me. That's 80% my dog Parker. You can find my stats work, all of the model projections, player maps, all of those kind of things on my Tableau page at bit.ly/data-dump-and-chase, all lowercase, all one word. Cece, where can people find you?
Well, my name is CC Hockley. You can find me representing Full Press Hockey on Twitter at FPC_AHL, and at my personal Twitter account at CCHawk. That's SEESEEHAWK. Little play on words there. Majority of my tweets from my Twitter account are about hockey as well. But hey, I have some fun, talk about pop culture, music. Big fan of the rock band Rush. If you haven't heard, you'll probably see me tweeting about the Genesis concert I'm going to in Boston on Wednesday night. So stay tuned for that if you're a prog rock fan. But yeah, hopefully if it keeps me interested, it's not going to be bullshit for you. Check out my writing on the Full Press Coverage Network at www.fullpresshockey.com. Okay, I'm going to brace myself because I don't normally say this, but Shawnee, take us home.
For CC Hockley, I'm Sean O'Brien. Thank you for tuning in, and please dump and chase responsibly.